Much criticism is being heard these days regarding the electoral system in Israel, and many are calling for an electoral reform. Professor Ruth Gavison from the Hebrew University spoke with INN-TV and stated that the reform must be one that will bring stability to governments in Israel.
The Israeli public has voted in the next Knesset and the votes have been counted, but with all these speculations and negotiations towards the next government, it seems that the elections are far from over. Professor Ruth Gavison from the Hebrew University and the Israel Democracy Institute relates to the results of the 2009 elections.
I think the elections are unfortunate in the sense that they are creating a situation where it's not clear who the winner is, so it's not clear what the government is going to be. But on the other hand, I think it's quite clear that the Israeli voters are centrists, and they are centrists to the right, which is quite understandable in view of the recent political developments. And now the question is how to translate these results to an effective government, which is a very, very serious business.
The question of who will be the next prime minister will be resolved during the next few days. But the real question is, how long will he or she stay in office?
The more serious problem is that the governments are not stable, and there is a systemic inability within the government to enjoy a relatively long term, say 4 years, and know that you can plan on 4 years in office. Now, when you can plan on 4 years in office, even if you're a new minister or a new prime minister, you can study, you can learn the problems, and then you can work. But if from day 2 to your rule, you are busy surviving and mending your coalition and maintaining your coalition, and if your civil servant and staff people are not very effective, and you don't even have serious staff bodies, then your ability to govern is seriously limited. And this is the main problem. The problem is the ability of Israeli governments to govern. And since the challenges that Israel faces are huge, you cannot afford a government that is not very effective.
Gavison spoke at the gathering of the Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations in Jerusalem during a session titled, "Is Israeli Society Under Siege? Challenges to Israel's Future?" Gavison believes that in order to deal with the challenges, an efficient leadership is necessary.
Any problem within Israel, be it military, political, educational, social, water, energy, all these problems require a long-term vision, long-term values, and policies that are derived from them. In order to be able to make these kinds of decisions, you need to know enough about the issues to formulate these goals, to create committees or whatever bodies that can formulate them, to acquire the political support that you require in order to push these moves that usually are not very popular, and to start implementing them. If you analyze the problems, and the problems are deep and pervasive and have to do with the way civil service, bureaucracy, units work, and it's not merely the political system, and it's not merely the representation in the parliament, if you see that this is the real problem, then you become less optimistic that merely changing the electoral system will solve the issues.